Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm sharing more family style dinner recipes. These are gonna be dinners that your whole family is going to love. They are full of flavor, they are healthy, nutritious, and they're also budget friendly. So definitely keep watching if you want to see all of those recipes, and let's go ahead and get started. For this first dinner, I'm making an Italian couscous soup. This one was full of flavor, absolutely delicious, and very easy too. I'm just starting off with about 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil, heating that up, and then adding in some diced up vegetables. I've got some carrots, some onion, as well as some sweet bell peppers, but feel free to play around with veggies here. You can add whatever you want. I cooked those for about 5 minutes until my veggies were nice and soft. Once those were softened, I added in a scoop of minced garlic. I like to use the frozen stuff in my freezer. I have a reel over on my Instagram if you want to see how I prep my garlic this way. And then once that was mixed in, I cooked it for a couple of minutes, added in some spaghetti sauce. This was just like half a batch of leftover spaghetti sauce, added that in there to make the base of the soup. And then I added in about 3 cups of broth. You can use chicken, beef, or vegetable broth, total personal preference here. And then for seasons, I just seasoned it with salt, pepper, oregano, Italian seasoning, basil, all of those good Italian flavors that we want to come out in this dish. Bring that up to a light boil. Once that was lightly boiling, I just added in about 1 cup of couscous. You can definitely use more or less just depending on personal preferences, and then you're just going to cook that until your couscous is all the way cooked through. And then that was it for this soup. Really flavorful and delicious, and a great way to use up leftover spaghetti sauce. For this next dinner, I am making a sausage and veggie tortellini. This one was absolutely delicious. I'm just starting off with 1 pound of some ground pork sausage, but you can really use whatever meat that you want, but you're just gonna brown that together and then put it onto a plate, and we're gonna cook up some veggies in the same skillet. So into my skillet here, I'm adding in a little bit of olive oil just to soften my veggies. I've got some sweet bell peppers and some onions, but again, feel free to play around, but this is just like my family's go-to. We do a lot of onions and a lot of peppers. Soften those, and then into my boiling water, I'm adding in 1 package of tortellini. This was 9 ounces of tortellini. If you want it to be more noodles and less meat, then go ahead and do more tortellini. And then back over to my skillet with my vegetables, I just added in some minced garlic, and I'm also adding in a good amount of spinach. I did probably like a couple cups of frozen spinach in here. Now this is going to be a huge amount of veggie and pork mixture, so I'm going to mix all of this together. But then I'm actually taking out about half of it, and I saved half of this for an egg bake for breakfast the next morning. So you can do what you want with that if you want more meat, or you can just double in your noodles. But I took about half of that meat mixture away before adding in my tortellini, and then I just added in some Raos. Use whatever your favorite marinara sauce is. Mixed all of this together, topped it with some parmesan, and this one was a really delicious dinner. For this next dinner, I'm making a loaded beef and potato skillet. This was a new recipe for us, and it was pretty good. I would definitely make it again. I'm starting off with 1 pound of some ground beef. I always get our beef local, and it's super delicious and fresh. And then here is just some onion that I'm adding there for flavor, cooking all of this together. And then this is the little paper towel trick that I learned from my good friend Julia over on Julia Pacheco's channel. Basically, you just throw a paper towel in there to absorb all of the extra grease. It works so good. This is pretty lean ground beef, so I don't need to like fully drain it, but just to get that little bit of grease out of there, this is the best tip that I got from Julia. And seriously, if you have not checked out her channel, go check it out. She is wonderful. She shares recipes all the time. Then I'm adding in 1/4 cup of Worcestershire sauce, a couple teaspoons of mustard, a teaspoon of paprika, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of salt, and then a teaspoon of black pepper. Next time I think I'll only do a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper though, just because it was a little bit too much in my opinion. And then if you have a skillet that can go in the oven, you can just use that. I am using a casserole dish and just slicing up all of my potatoes. I'm using Yukon Gold potatoes, but I'm sure you can use whatever you want to. If you want to peel them, go ahead, but I don't mind the peels on especially Yukon Golds because they're so thin. But I just sliced up my potatoes, and then on top I'm just adding some paprika as well as some garlic powder for some extra flavor. I think next time I might add just a little bit of salt directly onto my potatoes, and then I'm just going to kind of layer my potatoes with this beef mixture and the potatoes on top and just kind of layer it up like that. I'm adding in 2 cups of milk. You can use whatever milk that you have on hand. I think mine was 2% that I used, so I just added that in there, covered it up with aluminum foil. I baked this at 400 degrees for about 30 minutes, and then for that last 20 minutes, I took the aluminum foil off, and that's when I added in my cheese. You can add your cheese right away if you want to, and you can cook it uncovered, but I chose to do it this way, and I felt like it baked really well. Once the potatoes were soft and the cheese was all melted, we are good to go. I did top it with some crumbled up bacon, which made it really delicious. I mean, you can't go wrong with adding bacon to a meal like this. I did also add in some green onions on top, but you can really add whatever you want. Serve it with a veggie, and this was a delicious meal. For this next dinner, I am making a shrimp and veggie pasta, and my kids have been asking me to make this again since this video, so I know that you guys will like this one because my kids absolutely loved it. I'm just starting off with 1 bag of some pre-cooked shrimp. I did go ahead and cook that, and then I drained off the water, removed the tails, added it back into my skillet. I added in just a little bit of garlic salt, a pat of butter, mixed it all together, and cooked it for just a couple of minutes. These were pre-cooked shrimp, so I didn't want to overcook them, obviously. My husband does like his shrimp on the firm side though, so it's probably technically overcooked, but that's just how my husband likes them. I removed those shrimp, and then into the same skillet I'm adding in some olive oil as well as some onions and peppers, because you know those are our go-tos. My kids love eating them, and it just works well for our family. I'm cooking those until they are pretty soft. And then of course I'm gonna add in some minced garlic with my garlic press here, and cooking that for just a couple more minutes before adding in the rest of my ingredients. Once that garlic is nice and fragrant, it's time to add in 1 can of diced tomatoes. You can use the Italian diced tomatoes, petite diced tomatoes, really whatever you want or whatever you have on hand is totally fine. Then I'm just adding in some Italian seasoning, basil, parsley, salt, pepper, all of those good Italian flavors that I kind of wanted to come through in this dish, and just letting that simmer for a couple of minutes. I did also add in a couple tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. That's optional, you do not have to do that, but I did feel like it brought out a lot of really good flavor in this dish. And then for the pasta, I'm just cooking up some regular spaghetti noodles, but you can use whatever your favorite pasta is. Make sure to salt your water, and then just cook those until they are al dente. After my sauce had simmered for a few minutes, I'm just adding in quite a bit of chopped spinach. You can do more or less just depending on your preferences, your kids' preferences, but this is a great veggie to sneak in here that they really didn't notice. Once that was cooked in there, the spinach was all wilted, I just added in my cooked noodles, a couple pats of butter in there, and then you can season this with anything additional that you want. You can do more salt or pepper, whatever. Of course, you're gonna toss your shrimp back in there, and then you're just gonna stir all of this together. This one was absolutely delicious, very like minimal ingredients. It wasn't anything super crazy. This was a great like pantry staples kind of dinner, using up what we already had, and it was absolutely delicious. So if you're looking for a good shrimp pasta dinner, this was definitely a good one that our whole family enjoyed. Alright you guys, that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed all of these dinner recipes. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and I will see you all in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.